My name's Tim Gibson. This is the 1970 Diamond Reo Michigan Special, which means it was built to Michigan specs for hauling heavy loads. This was a gravel train tractor its whole life.
It looks like it's ready to just...
It can pull a ton, but it's slow. It's geared really low.
What's its top speed?
55.
Oh, wow, my truck is not the slowest truck here. That makes me feel better.
And it's on Hendrickson rubber block suspension, so it's not a nice riding truck.
And how long have you had it?
I've had it for 20 years.
And I assume you completely...
No, it's not a restored truck.
Someone just took excellent care of it then.
Friend and I, when we first got it, we painted the chassis because all the paint was coming off. Painted the chassis, the tanks, put the aluminum fenders on it. The hood was in rough shape.
Was it blue already?
Yeah. Okay. Originally, the truck was red. The second owners of the truck went through it. They reskinned the whole cab, and they painted it blue. It was a trucking company in Holt, Michigan they were the second owners. They owned 30 Diamond Reos, and every one was a different color. So when I got it, the hood was in tough shape. Found a better hood for it. The front fenders were brand new, old stock. I was lucky to find those, put on it. And so we repainted the hood to match the rest of the truck. Had it striped. It's got a 335 Cummins in it with a 13-speed.
And this is just... So the fenders open with the hood? Is that how this
part
works?
Does.
Okay.
This stays here. So it has 46,000-pound rear suspension in it, or rear axles, I should say, on Hendrickson rubber block suspension.
And it holds gravel.
It could go back to work tomorrow, so it had to. It's slower than everything nowadays.
It's scary to be slow on the slowest vehicle on the road.
Well, I took all 2-lane roads coming down here. And the DOT, they'd pick it apart if it was working. So it's just a toy. My grandsons and I, that we take it to McDonald's, is about all we do with it.
Does your McDonald's have car shows? I know some of them do.
This is the first time this has been in a show since 2011.
What inspired you to come today?
Friends.
You were talked into it?
We were going to bring it last year, but it was raining. I don't like driving it.
Well, last year the show was in October, so having it in August.
It was rainy and cold, so...
Excellent. That is hefty, isn't it?
Yeah. If you had a trailer on here with a load, it would hold it down on the road, but like this, it gets a little squirrely on a bumpy road.
You were telling me that the first truck you would have driven was something?
My dad taught me to drive a Diamond Reo, and kind of always wanted. I grew up around Diamond Reos. Ready Mix company my dad worked for, he drove a gravel train, and they had a whole fleet of Diamond Reo mixers. That's what I first started driving when I was 19.
Were they built in Chicago or up here?
This here was built in Lansing. Diamond T's are built in Chicago.
Okay.
White Motor Company bought Diamond T and Reo in 57 and 58. They moved Diamond T's operations to Lansing because Lansing had a huge plant. It was May 1st of 1967 when they combined the two makes into the Diamond Reo brand. Diamond Reo went out of business in Lansing in 1975.
But did the name continue?
Well, there was a dealer in Harrisburg, Pennsylvania, Osterland's. When Diamond Reo went out of business, so did he, because he didn't have trucks to sell. So he bought the rights to build this model here. He had nothing to do with cab overs or anything. He just wanted to build this because he had a good clientele that needed construction trucks, ready-mix dump trucks. And when he started, he dubbed the trucks the Diamond Reo Giant. He started building those in 77, and it ran until 1992. But he'd only built maybe 200, 250 trucks a year, where Diamond Reo in Lansing was turning out 3,000 to 4,000 trucks a year.
And what year did you say this one was again?
1970. I was 13 years old when this rolled off the line. At the end, Osterland, his Diamond Reo in Harrisburg, went out of business in 92, I believe. And they were just making glider kits like the truck up here.
I think I interviewed one of those at York this year. A red and white Giant with a Deutz motor.
Oh, yeah.
And I was very confused how it was in 1986.
Yes, that was built in Harrisburg, Pennsylvania. That's the air-cooled motor.
That's a really pretty lube refiner.
And it's pretty bare bones. It was a work truck, but for its day in 1970, it was state of the art. You got your big 22-inch steering wheel.
Look at that curved dash too.
Yeah, that was Diamond Reo. That was their Apollo cab. That's my wife's air conditioner up there for the one day a year she rides in it. This is not her thing at all.
But she will ride in it at
Just
least.
to humor me, yeah.
Okay.
That's her name on the bumper.
I saw. Okay.
And I told her when I was dating her, she was 16. I said, if I ever get my truck, I'm going to put your name on it. And that's the first thing I did. She wasn't too impressed.
Ah, that is a really neat effect. Let's see if the camera can even see that. There we go. Like a marbled sort of look on the steering wheel.
Well, there's a story behind that steering wheel, too. I was at a junkyard looking for parts. I'd been there a lot. My friend and I went there in the spring, and there was a new Diamond Reo in there. I told the guy, I said, wow, that truck looks familiar. So on the way out, we stopped and looked at it, and it was a truck from the company my dad worked for. And when the truck was brand new, my dad was the first guy to drive it. So I bought that steering wheel to put in here.
That's amazing. Did your dad solely drive Diamond Reos?
No.
Okay, all sorts of stuff?
It was the company he worked for. When he got out of the Navy in 46, the first truck he drove was a Rio Speedwagon. It was a semi. And then when that company moved out of Saginaw in 1962, he went to work for a company called Anderson Sand and Gravel. Drove a gravel train for them. They originally had GMCs in their fleet, but early 63 or 4, they started converting to Rio and Diamond Reo. And he worked for that company until 78. They went on strike. It was going to be a long strike. So he quit there and he went to work hauling gas. And he drove GMC Astros for the last 6 years of his driving career.
How long was that driving career?
My dad, 40 years. I worked for UPS. I drove for UPS. The hood on this is plastic. It's not fiberglass. For some reason, Diamond Reo thought it'd be a good idea to use plastic hood, which wasn't a good idea. If you can look here, you can see how thick it is.
Oh, geez. So for all those people who have to talk trash about plastic trucks,
This is plastic. I found these fenders brand new.
Almost half an inch?
Junkyard. Yeah. Good quarter-inch.
And then the step, is that something that would have been added?
This is all factory. Set back axle. If it was an axle Ford, it wouldn't have that.
That just looks cool. What is your favorite thing about having this truck?
Driving it. I don't like working on it. I hate working on it. I had a friend. He's passed away now. He loved working on it. I'd like driving it.
Did you have to find a new bumper somewhere also?
That was all on there. Originally, the truck was red. The first company owned it was red. And the second company, they went through it and painted it. I had to find all the lettering. All that was missing. All this was missing on it when I bought it. This was all gone.
It looks brand new.
Oh, thank you.
And the chrome grille surrounds. Did you have to find that somewhere?
Oh, no, I had it re-chromed.
Uh-huh.
Got the shutters working on the front. Most of them don't work, but these work. It spends most of its time just going back and forth to McDonald's with my grandsons.
At least it gets to stretch its legs every once in a while.
Yeah, it was a good 2-hour drive down here, so. I've had it to the St. Ignace show a couple times. 2011, I took it down to South Bend, Indiana. It was a long drive, but we took it.
Well, it's absolutely gorgeous, so I'm glad that you brought it out.
Well, thank you.